The 1990 FIFA World Cup is the story of two teams. The first was West Germany, who were desperate for glory after two consecutive World Cup final losses. The second was England, who would go on to have their best campaign since 1966. They didn't realise it, but both were on a collision course in one of the most famous World Cup semi-finals. But how did Germany become champions? How did England have their best tournament in decades? What made their semi-final clash so memorable? This is the story of the 1990 World Cup. This was the 14th edition of the tournament. Italy became the second country to become host twice after they hosted in 1934. Germany's qualification for the tournament was difficult. Just 6 days before the final qualifying game, the Berlin Wall fell. German manager Franz Beckenbauer later said, "We were almost stopped by the wall. It was my job to prepare the team for an important game." But suddenly, the focus was gone. West Germany beat Wales 2-1 in their final game, but finished second to the Dutch. Germany qualified as one of the best runners-up. England also had a difficult time qualifying. They were in a group with Sweden, Poland and Albania. Bizarrely, despite not conceding a single goal in the 6 games, England finished second to Sweden. England qualified as one of the best runners-up. Before moving on to the main tournament, thank you all for supporting the channel. At the time of writing, the channel has over 800 subs and 5,000 watch hours. My next video will be on the 1994 World Cup, so if you want to learn more, hit the subscribe and notification bell. Germany was drawn into a group with Yugoslavia, Colombia and the UAE. They would make very light work of it. They opened against Yugoslavia and hit the ground running. They thumped them 4-1 thanks to 2 goals from Lothar Matthaus and 1 each from 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞 and Rudi Völler. Matthaus scored with 2 excellent long-range shots. Their second game against the UAE was more dominant. This time they won 5-1. Rudi Völler scored twice. Matthaus, 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞 and Uwe Bein completed the demolition. With qualification almost certain, Germany drew their final group game with Colombia 1-1. They finished top with 5 points. England was drawn into a group with Ireland, Netherlands and Egypt. England opened against Ireland. England got off to a flying start. Chris Waddle put Gary Lineker through with a brilliant pass. Lineker chested the ball past the keeper and tapped it in. England were 1-0 up after just 9 minutes. In the 73rd minute, Kevin Sheedy would capitalise on some poor defending and fire into the far corner from a tight angle. The game would end 1-1. England faced the Dutch next. England largely dominated the game. Gascoigne dribbled at the Dutch constantly and sprayed the ball around the pitch. Despite this, England failed to convert any chances and the game ended goalless. Remarkably, going into the final games, all 4 teams were on 2 points. All 4 games had been drawn. England faced Egypt in their final match. The game was largely cautious. England would finally break through in the 58th minute. Gascoigne whipped in a ball from a free kick out wide that Mark Wright headed in to give England a 1-0 win. England finished top of the group with 4 points after Ireland drew 1-1 with the Dutch. This group still holds the record for the most draws in a World Cup group, with 5 out of 6 games. Ireland and the Netherlands drew all 3 of their games. This group was one of the reasons why FIFA changed future tournament rules by awarding 3 points for a win. They did this to try and encourage teams to play for a win rather than settling for a draw. In the second round, Germany faced the Netherlands. This game took this rivalry to a more intense level. In the 22nd minute, one of the most disgusting moments in World Cup history took place. Frank Rijkaard fouled Rudi Völler and was booked. Rijkaard accused him of diving. As Rijkaard ran past Völler, he spat in his hair. Völler furiously argued with Rijkaard before the free kick was taken. Völler received a yellow card as he pointed at his hair while protesting his innocence to the ref. Dutch keeper Hans van Breukelen caught the ball as Völler challenged. Rijkaard came over and began to argue with Völler once again. Referee Juan Carlos Laustau had seen enough. He sent both Rijkaard and Völler off. As Völler turned in surprise, Rijkaard spat in his hair once again before heading off the pitch. Is this the most disgusting moment in World Cup history? Let me know in the comments. Germany broke the deadlock in the 51st minute. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐢𝐛𝐞 finished from an acute angle. The Dutch pressed for an equaliser whilst the Germans hit them on the break. In the 85th minute, 𝐼𝐮𝐲𝐫𝐿 scored a sublime curling effort to double the German lead. 𝐸𝐭 scored a late penalty for the Dutch, but Germany won 2-1. England faced Belgium in the second round. It was an entertaining game where both sides had opportunities to score. But Belgium had the best chances and hit the post multiple times. The best chance was for 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿, who hit the post from 25 yards out with a fantastic strike. The game went into extra time. It looked like the game was going to penalties, but 𝐽𝐻𝐿 won a free kick as he drove into the Belgium half. He then chipped the ball into the box and Platt swiveled before scoring a fantastic over-the-shoulder volley into the far corner. Platt would say, "Everything was intuitive, the way I met and hit the ball and then dropping to my knees. Instinct just took over. I'd never ever dropped to my knees after scoring before. I don't know why I did." England won 1-0. Germany faced Czechoslovakia in the quarter-finals. The match was cagey and physical from the start. Germany started strong and had their chances. In the 24th minute, Klinsmann was brought down in the box and won a penalty. Matthaus empathetically converted to give Germany the lead. Germany won 1-0. England played Cameroon in the quarter-finals. It was the only quarter-final to feature more than one goal. Cameroon represented the emergence of African football on a global stage. Inspired by 38-year-old Roger Milla, they had shocked Argentina 1-0 in their opening game and beaten Colombia in the second round to become the first African team to reach the final 8. Despite their strong performances, England grossly underestimated them. Then Leeds manager Howard Wilkinson, who was scouting for the English FA, told England players that this was a practical bye to the semi-finals. Despite Cameroon making a competitive start to the game, Wilkinson's prediction seemed to be correct, as David Platt put England ahead after 25 minutes with a free header. But Cameroon did not drop their heads, but played well and created chances. In the 61st minute, Miller was brought down in the box and a penalty was given. Emmanuel Koundé fired the penalty into the top corner to make it 1-1. Just 4 minutes later, substitute 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿 was played through by Miller and he beautifully finished into the top corner. Cameroon had deservedly taken the lead. BBC commentator Barry Davies described the Cameroon attacks as unbelievably smooth in their movements. In the 83rd minute, Lineker won a penalty for England. How much contact was made is still debated, but the challenge was rash. Lineker fired the penalty to the left as Cameroon keeper Thomas Nkono dove to his right. It was 2-2. The game went into extra time. Cameroon played well but could not convert their chances. In the 104th minute, Lineker was brought down by the keeper as he went through on goal. This time Lineker fired down the middle. England held on for a 3-2 win. Chris Waddle told Wilkinson after the game, "Some fucking buy that." Bobby Robson later said, "We pulled it out of the fire and I don't really know how." England versus Germany in the semi-final is the iconic match of this tournament. For England, this was their biggest game since 1966. For Germany, this was their chance to book a third consecutive World Cup final appearance. It was also an opportunity to avenge their 1986 final loss to Argentina. The Argentines had beaten Italy on penalties the night before. Both England and Germany fancied their chances against Argentina. Before the game, Bobby Robson said, "If we can win tonight, we're in the final, with a great chance of beating Argentina." England got off to a flyer, as 𝐽𝐻𝐿 produced a fantastic strike just 2 minutes in that was wonderfully saved by Bodo Illgner. England dominated the opening 10 minutes. Commentator John Motson exclaimed, "England are playing some tidy football." Germany did not have their first chance until the 12th minute, when Thomas Hassler's shot was deflected wide. Despite a lot of action, the first half ended goalless. Germany started the second half strong and began to dominate the possession. John Motson described it as England are under siege now. In the 59th minute, the pressure would finally take its toll. Stuart Pearce fouled Hassler just outside the box. 𝐼𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐿 took the shot, but it took a huge looping deflection. Shilton tried to backpedal and tip it over, but the ball went in. Germany was 1-0 up. There is still debate if Shilton should have done better. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Despite going behind, England did not drop their heads but instead fought back well. Pearce just missed a header after another fantastic cross from 𝐽𝐻𝐿. In the 69th minute, Waddle was brought down in the box, but the appeals for a penalty were waved off. In the 81st minute, Paul Parker swung in a cross that hit the thigh of 𝐵𝐻𝐿 before falling to Lineker, who finished with a low shot into the corner. It was 1-1. The game went into extra time. Germany started much better. In the 95th minute, 𝐼𝐻𝐿 produced a brilliant save from a powerful 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻 header. Just a minute later, 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻 had another chance as he mishit a volley wide of the goal. In the 99th minute, the most iconic moment of the tournament occurred. Gascoigne overran the ball and he lunged for the ball and fouled Thomas Berthold. Gascoigne knew he was in trouble and immediately put his hands in the air in apology to the ref. He also apologised to Berthold, but out came the yellow card. Gascoigne was suspended for the final. Gascoigne welled up with tears as the realisation hit him. Gascoigne would later say, "To this day, I honestly don't think I touched him, but down he went, rolling around as if in agony. I crouched down to make sure he was okay, and at that stage, I wasn't thinking I was in trouble. There was nothing in the challenge. Then everything turned to slow motion. Lineker approached Gascoigne and could see the tears streaming down his face. He immediately turned to the bench and said, 'Have a word with him.' The moment was caught on TV and became a memorable moment." Lineker later said, "Out of everything in my career, the moment people ask me about most often was when Gazza got booked in that semi-final. Despite the setback, England had the best chance to score in the first half. The ball fell to Waddle, who hit the post from a tight angle. The best chance of the second half came to Germany. In the 118th minute, Guido Buchwald got the ball outside the box and curled a wonderful effort that hit the post. The game went to penalties. This was England's first ever penalty shootout. The first 6 penalties were scored. Stuart Pearce stepped up at 3-3. He blasted the ball, but it went down the middle and was saved. Olaf Thon made it 4-3 to Germany. Waddle had to score. His body language seemed wrong. His shoulders were hunched. He pointed at the ref to place the ball on the spot, and he barely looked at the goal. He hammered the ball, aiming for the top corner, giving the keeper no chance to save it. Unfortunately, he also missed the target, and the ball went high over the bar. England were out. Despite the defeat, the match was a watershed moment for English football. It helped bring in new fans, as some had fallen out of love with the game due to the hooliganism of the 1980s that plagued English football. Germany faced Argentina in Rome on the 8th of July. It was a final of firsts. It was the first final to be a rematch of a previous final. The first and only consecutive final rematch. Germany was the first team to play in 3 finals in a row. Despite this, the 1990 final is regarded as the worst World Cup final. From the start, it was cynical and ill-tempered. Fouls and dives plagued the game. Argentina was an aging side and Maradona was carrying an ankle injury. They made it to the final through a tough defence and penalty shootout wins over Yugoslavia and Italy. Germany dominated the game. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻 had the best chance of the first half just 3 minutes into the game. He hit the ball over the bar from close range. Germany continued to dominate the second half and created chances. In the 65th minute, substitute Pedro Monzon created another first. After a studs-up lunge brought 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢𝐻 down, he became the first player to be sent off in a World Cup final. In the 84th minute, Germany was awarded a questionable penalty. Roberto Sensini challenged Voller, who went down under minimal contact. Argentina players were furious. Matthaus had changed his boots during the game and did not want to take the penalty. Bremer took it instead and finished it in the bottom corner. In the 87th minute, Gustavo De Sotti was sent off after a second yellow card when he wrestled Jürgen Kohler down. Argentina finished with 9 players. Germany won 1-0 and were world champions for the 3rd time. Argentina and Maradona were furious after the match. Maradona blamed the ref for the defeat. Beckenbauer had a different opinion. There were no doubts whatsoever who was going to win. For 90 minutes we attacked Argentina and there was no feeling of any danger that a goal would be scored against us. As I saw it, we outplayed them from beginning to end. Argentina had just 1 shot on target and became the first team not to score in the final. Notable stats from the tournament include 2.5 million fans attended the games, an average of 48,000 per match. 115 goals were scored in 52 games, an average of 2.21 per match. This is the lowest average in World Cup history. Germany was the top scorer with 15 goals. Salvatore Schillaci was top scorer with 6 goals. He also won Player of the Tournament. There you have it. That was the story of the 1990 World Cup. My next video will be on the 1994 edition. If you would like to learn more, hit that subscribe and notification bell. Thanks for watching.